Hi, my name is Shell Rapier, and you are watching Crazy Cabin Fever Cocktails as produced by Fascination Design. A little bit about myself. I've been working with Tim and Hillary now for about 2+ years. So I've been in the industry for over 10 years, but I've been bourbon presenting and cocktail presenting for about 2. Today we're going to get started with a flaming cocktail for Halloween. What a better time to do something like this, right? If you'll notice, we are in the lovely outdoors because you should not do this in your home, and there are many, many reasons why. The first one I want to talk about is a little bit of your setup, right? So we're going to be playing with a fire that's at 190 proof is how we're getting it with our Everclear. So my setup that I have is I've got an outdoor table. This is a tempered glass, so it shouldn't shatter. It should be able to take a little bit of heat. I've also got a very thick spill mat under here, which is helping me out. And then we had to do a little adjusting too. So we've got a little bit of weight on this side so that way that our pan is level. You want it to be level so that way your fire is level. Talking about the pan I'm using an industrial kitchen pan and a grate set here. You want to have your bowl a little bit off of the fire so that way if you get some pops or bubbles, you're not actually moving the bowl around. So that's about the fire, right? So we're going to have our Everclear fire in this bottom pan. I'm going to be using long matches because that fire will start very abruptly. So let's talk about what's going to be in the bowl, right, in our cocktail. This is after the Cafe Brulee style, which is a very popular cocktail in New Orleans. They like to do it around Mardi Gras season. They usually have a very elaborate headdress with horns and do it outside in the streets, and it creates quite a show. But we're going to do a bourbon version of that. So I'm going to be using Wild Turkey 101, a little bit of Buck Spice Ginger Bitters, some allspice, some whole cloves, and some nutmeg, and that's what I'm going to be toasting in my bowl. After that, I'm going to be using sugar to sweeten it, and then I'm going to dilute it down with coffee to make our cocktail in the end. But the show part, I've actually prepared for us a nice orange rind. And I've studded this orange rind with whole cloves. So the idea behind this is I'm going to be holding this orange rind over the fire and then pouring the liquid fire over it, creating a spark and a show as well. The best way that I created this is that I used this little contraption here. Just a peeler, right? A vegetable peeler. You want to keep the pressure steady as you're peeling, and you want to peel in like a spiral motion. And then once you get through with that, you can actually stud that orange zest with the cloves directly because they do have a little bit of a sharp end on them. So that has created my orange studded collar. So let's go back over this because I need to tell myself too. It always gets a little nerve-wracking when dealing with fire. I'm going to be putting my 190 fire in this bottom. I'm going to be creating my nice seasoned cocktail up here, and I'm going to be using the fire from that to catch this on fire and then also create a show with it. So first things first is I have to build my cocktail. There's 4 of us tonight, so I'll be building a cocktail for 4. I'm going to do probably a 1-to-2 ratio on this, so 1 ounce of bourbon for every 2 ounces of coffee. I am using Wild Turkey 101 if you've noticed. I do that because it will actually catch on flame as well. It won't be quite as big as a fire as you'll see in the pan that'll be happening with the 190. But it'll still be enough of a fire to really toast these spices and create some extra depth of flavor here. I'm throwing allspice in here. I'm going to put a little more cloves. So it's going to be like a orange spice coffee toddy, if you will. And then lastly, a little nutmeg. You can use whole spices if you want. It'll work the same. I just happen to have these in the cabinet, and that's kind of the thing, right? Take everything out of your cabinet and make something new. So I've got the inside of my bowl ready. I've got my 101, my spices, so now I need to start prepping the outside of the bowl. And this is where you may lose me a little bit, because once I start dealing with this fire and dealing with the orange rind, I may get a little quiet, but I'll let the fire speak for itself because it's going to be pretty cool. I will say for safety though, on backup, I'm going to be diluting my bourbon fire with coffee to knock out the flame, and then I've got water here on the side to dilute my 190 fire down. So if it ever gets too much when you do this for the first time, don't freak out. Just over dilute it and it's going to put out all the flames. I'm pouring my 190 in the bottom. When you're pouring it, you want to pour it evenly. You want it to be even on both sides. I'm going to make a pretty big flame, and I can dilute it with water and knock it down a little bit as we get going. After that, I'm going to make sure I'm prepped with my tongs and my ladle, because once this fire gets going, I'm really going to start toasting my bourbon and the orange over in it. And then now it's time to set it on fire. So please give me your saving graces and your Hail Marys, that we don't burn down this house tonight from the outside. All right, here we go. All right, 190 burns blue. So we've got a blue flame going on here, a nice toasting on the bowl. I'm using all stainless steel products. I'm also keeping a safe distance from it right now, trying to see how high that flame is going to go. I might hit it with a little bit of water just to knock it down on this one side. Alright. So now I'm taking my studded orange clove, right? And you can catch it on fire here too. So what's burning off of this is the oils in our orange rind. I'm going to dip it down into our liquid here. Get a little bit of the liquid out of the bowl. And now we have completely caught fire. And this is the process. So you just get a little bit more of your burning fire mixture in the bowl. And then you just keep pouring it over your rind, right? And that's where we are. What was really cool about this is that I think the orange rind caught the center bowl on fire for me. Usually when I do this, I have to get a little bit of the bourbon out, catch it on fire down here, and then get it back over. But we're actually running really nice right now. Alright. Tim, you want to try? You kind of do, right? Alright, so we've got a nice toast going, so I'm going to call this rind done. We've singed off it. You can actually see, if you can see it on the camera, the cloves are turning red hot. So they're really nice and toasted and ready to go. They've added all their flavor. So I'm going to drop that down in there. You can keep this toasting. The flame will go out on its own. But for safety reasons and for cool effect, let's add a little sugar while we're still hot, because this is going to do a little bit of a show as well. I know you can't smell this, but the caramelized sugar, it's just really good. It's really good. So a little bit of sugar, because I don't need too much. I'm going to go ahead and put out some of this fire. If you can't see, I still got a good fire going in here, and how I'm going to put that out is my coffee. Alright. It smells really good. So at this point, I'm just mixing it up a little bit. You've got a little charged sugar on the side of the bowl. So I'm trying to incorporate that into my cocktail. And now we are ready to serve. This is going to be really hot. I've used hot coffee. I've toasted the bourbon. I've toasted it. So you're going to want to use a mug or ceramic mug for this. And then afterwards, as it's still hot, you can sweeten it per order. I only add a little bit of sweetness for show and for flavor. But if you like it extra sweet and you want to do it as a dessert cocktail, please do. Also at this point, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of ginger bitters, because I think it really brings out this nice spicy flavor of this cocktail. And I don't think my guests will mind. And that has us. So our flaming goblet of fire is ready to go and to be served. I've got to get a couple ceramic mugs. I would do this with maybe a cinnamon stick, or you could do a little orange twist in it for a little added effect for garnish. If you wanted to sub out a few things, say you don't like coffee, you're more than welcome to use like hot toddy or apple cider. You can do the same things. The biggest thing is you gotta still have your 190 fire on the bottom. If you want the bowl to actually catch fire, then you're gonna need something over 100 proof as your base spirit. And then everything else is kind of interchangeable, right? So use lemon instead of orange, use toddy instead of coffee, you know, do what you think is best. But that's it for me. My name is Shell. I'll be doing a few more of these videos, and keep an eye out for me on virtual tastings. I hope you enjoy and have a happy Halloween.